Are you tired of this happening? Well, I can change that. Hello everyone, welcome back to the second episode on how to get good in sport mode and stop dying. In today's episode, we're going to focus on the many weapons that are in sport mode, and we're going to be ranking them, because we can't really tell you how to use them, because there's no real way how to use any of these weapons, because it's not the weapon that's good, it's the player. So without further ado, let's rank all the weapons from worst to best. Starting off, we have the sledgehammer. Now, I just want to make one thing clear. The sledgehammer is not a bad weapon. It's just lacking in many categories. The sledgehammer has low damage, decent knockback, and heavy weight. The main thing the sledgehammer is focused on is power and knockback. But sledgehammer is not very good at that, being very heavy and not that easy to knock people back. And so many other weapons do the knockback job better than the sledgehammer, making the sledgehammer just a worse version of any other weapon that does knockback. Also, it doesn't help the fact that the sledgehammer can't really kill that much. It's mainly used for knocking back enemies and pushing them over. But the weapon is still a weapon. It can still do damage if you want it to. But it definitely does take a bit of practice to get used to the hammer's low damage. Moving up the list, we have the brass knuckles. Now, the brass knuckles are an interesting weapon, in that it's a weapon that actually increases your punch power to that of 2.5 strength. Now, this may seem like a good weapon, right? Well, kinda. You see, the main drawback of the brass knuckles is that you can't grab. And if you watched the first video, you would know how valuable grab is to disabling any robots and making hands the most powerful weapon of them all. But brass knuckles aren't really that bad, it's just there's so many other weapons that do a better job. Up next, we have the baseball bat. Now, the baseball bat is a much better sledgehammer in the fact that it's much lighter, does more damage, and has the same amount of knockback. It can be thrown, it can be carried with one hand without much consequence. It's just overall just a decent weapon. The only thing keeping it from going higher is that there's much better weapons than this. Up next, we have the claws. Now, the claws is their very first sharp weapon on the list. Now, the claws suffers the same things as the rest of the weapons. They're just better weapons than the claws. But let's go over some of the things that the claws has to offer. One of those things is that it's their first weapon on our list that can insta-kill with ease. Its sharp properties and lightweight allows it to easily go for the head and insta-kill, making it a pretty good weapon. Also is the fact that you can duel it, making it even more powerful. But as I said before, there are much better weapons that do a better job. Up next, we have the fire axe. Now, the fire axe is basically just the sharp version of the sledgehammer, and it has the insta-kill properties of the claws. Another thing is that it's super long, which means you can basically snipe kills with this weapon. But there are some drawbacks. Just like the sledgehammer, it's heavy, it can get stuck on walls, it won't really work at times, so that's why I place it here. Up next is the kunai. Now, the kunai is an interesting weapon. It's very light, but it can deal a ton of damage via headshots. Its small size and lightweight allows you to easily sneak in and go for headshots, which can instantly kill any opponent. But the thing is, that's its only trait. So I'm placing it in the middle of B tier. Up next, we have the hatchet. Now, the hatchet is a better version of the kunai, in the fact that it does the same thing and it has some bonus quirks. Now, the hatchet is just a good weapon in general. It can get it out of tricky situations, it's light, it's compact, it's small, and it does a lot of damage. Another thing is that it can disable limbs, meaning that you have your little pocket disabler. Also, another thing is that you can have two of them, making this twice as effective. Wrapping up A tier, we have the Assassin's Blade. The Assassin's Blade combines the deadliness of the kunai, the strength of the hatchet, and the accessibility of the claws. This weapon is a multi-purpose tool designed for cutting, piercing, disabling, decapitating, removing limbs, all sorts of things you can just do with the Assassin's Blade. Do not underestimate the Assassin's Blade, as it is a very powerful weapon. Up next, we have the S tier of the very best of the best weapons. Starting off, we have the crowbar. And the crowbar might seem like a useless weapon at first. It's only used for grabbing, it doesn't really have anything special for it, but it has a special property. It does a lot of damage. Combine that with its lightweight, and it can be used as an effective blunt weapon. Our third best weapon goes to the battle axe. Now the battle axe is quite the powerhouse. It is very bulky, meaning it can block shots, it can easily tear off heads, but it does have a good amount of weight to it. But that helps in its favor. When you're swinging at an opponent, its heavy weight can help remove heads often. Overall, the battle axe is just a very good weapon used for melee and shooter combat. Our second best weapon goes to the stun baton. Now the stun baton is a very interesting weapon in the fact that it is easily underestimated. See, the stun baton has an insane amount of knockback. Being just a good swing can send enemies flying across the fields. Also, it can be used for throwing, and it packs quite a punch when thrown. Its lightweight combined with its high knockback and good damage makes it an overall candidate for second place. Finishing off our list, our best melee weapon goes to the katana. What can I say about this weapon? It's got good damage, decent weight, and it's very quick in killing opponents. It's got stab damage, it's got slice damage, can easily decapitate, fits snugly in the palm of your hand, can be used for dual hand mode or single hand mode, and can be thrown to deal some good damage. Overall, katana is a good example of a good, sharp melee weapon. It has very little drawbacks and can easily decimate your opponents if done right. That is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next Git Good video, which will be ranking all shooters. See ya!